Most people think the thing that breaks them is heartbreak. But that's not the first crack. The first crack is smaller, quieter. It's the moment you learn that your presence is too much, and love is something you receive only when you're convenient. And once a child learns that rule, the adult doesn't just move on. The adult repeats it, in different rooms, with different faces, in different years, until one day she chooses something stronger than hope. She chooses peace. Emily was about 8 years old. She was the kind of child who laughed easily, the kind who ran from one idea to another, who tugged on your sleeve and said, "Look, let's do something." She had life in her body, not the loud kind, the innocent kind. But almost every day, after lunch, her parents said the same sentence, without looking at her long enough to notice she was still a child. "Go to your room and take a nap." Not as care, not as gentleness, as a rule. Emily stood up slowly, energy still buzzing under her skin, and walked down the hallway in small steps. That hallway had a sound, the sound of footsteps that already knew they weren't allowed to be loud. She reached her bedroom door, closed it, and the world stayed outside. She climbed into bed, turned to one side, then the other, pulled the blanket up to her chin even though she wasn't cold. She couldn't sleep. She had too much life inside her. So she listened. She listened the way a small animal listens, not for entertainment, but for safety. From outside, she could hear voices. The television, a glass placed on a table, a laugh that didn't include her. They were out there, together, and she was in here, in a room where no one asked, "Are you okay?" She stared at the ceiling, and without noticing, she held her breath, as if silence was supposed to fix her. No one came to say, "You can play." No one came to say, "I like your energy." No one came to say, "You don't have to disappear to be loved." In that room, Emily learned her first kind of silence. Not peace, absence. And in her mind, the same question repeated like a loop. Why do I have to disappear? Sometimes, after a long time, she got out of bed and walked back out. Not because she was bad, not because she wanted to provoke anyone, but because she was alive. And that's when the cold line came. The line that cuts your courage in half without touching you. "You think I don't know you didn't sleep?" It wasn't a question. It was an accusation. And many times, they sent her back to the bed, back to the silence, back to the lesson. And a child doesn't interpret that lesson like an adult would. A child doesn't think. They don't know how to regulate emotions. They are stressed. They lack emotional intelligence. No, a child thinks the simplest thing: I'm the problem. So Emily learned to solve herself by shrinking. She learned to become quiet, to become small, to stop asking for things. Because in her world, energy was punished with distance. But here's something important, something that saved her later, even if she didn't know it at the time. Sometimes childhood shows you a different universe for a single afternoon, not to heal you instantly, but to plant a question inside your heart. The next day, a friend from school came to her house. He stood at the front door with his mother, calm and unhurried, like time wasn't an enemy. "Do you want to come to our place?" he asked. Simple, natural, as if being invited was normal, as if being wanted was normal. Emily went, and the moment she stepped inside their home, she noticed something. Not wealth, not luxury, something deeper. The air felt different. It was quiet, but warm. The kind of quiet that doesn't hide tension, the kind that doesn't warn you to be careful how you breathe. No one looked at her like she was a burden. They sat down and played PlayStation, and they played peacefully. No slammed doors, no shouting, no sudden command to disappear. When Emily laughed too loudly, no one punished her for it. When she got excited, no one called it too much. Then his mother walked in. Not angry, not suspicious. She was holding a plate. She placed croissants on the table, and a glass of pear juice, sweet, clean, bright. "Here you go," she said gently. "So you'll have energy. So you'll have energy." For Emily, that sentence felt almost impossible. In her house, energy was a problem. Here, energy was supported. And as she ate, she watched the way that mother spoke. Soft tone, no threats hiding behind rules, no cold accusations. Emily didn't have a name for what she felt, but something woke up inside her. This is what it looks like when you don't have to disappear. That question followed her for years. Then Emily grew up. And as an adult, she noticed something that looked like bad luck, but felt like a pattern. She kept ending up next to the same kind of people, not the same faces, the same energy. Cold, distant, unavailable. At the beginning they seemed present, just enough to light hope in her chest. Maybe this time. And then they disappeared. "We'll talk tonight." Tonight didn't come. Plans happened, and then dissolved into excuses. Serious conversations appeared, and were avoided. Her need for clarity showed up, and was called pressure. And Emily did what she had done at 8 years old. She waited, not because she lacked dignity, but because waiting was familiar in her body. Her mind invented excuses, because the mind will do anything to avoid loss. Maybe they're tired. Maybe they have problems. Maybe I'm asking for too much. Maybe if I ask for nothing, they'll stay. But her body didn't negotiate. When silence came, her body went into alarm. Sleep got worse. Thoughts multiplied. Her stomach tightened. Her chest felt heavy. And the scariest part was this. A part of her recognized it. Because silence wasn't just silence, it was memory. It was the hallway, the door, the bed, the voices outside. It was the rule she learned too early: disappear. One night she lay in bed with her phone in her hand, low light, same tension, waiting for a message that would prove she mattered. And she realized something devastating. This wasn't romance. This was survival. Her body wasn't feeling love. Her body was feeling fear. And for the first time, she didn't insult herself for it. She didn't call herself broken. She said the truth, quietly, kindly. "I was trained to confuse crumbs with love, trained to chase what runs, trained to call distance home. But if she was trained, she could be retrained." So she did something new. She stopped trying to convince silence to speak. She stopped turning unavailability into a mission. She stopped shrinking her needs so someone else could stay comfortable. And she chose the rule that changed her life. She chose what calmed her body. Because the mind can say 1,000 things, but the body tells the truth in one language: peace or alarm. When the same pattern showed up again, promises without action, avoidance, disappearing, Emily drew a line with a calm voice. "I need presence. I need consistency. I need actions, not promises. I need clarity, not disappearances." Pause. "If you can't be here, I'm stepping back." Not to punish anyone, to stop abandoning herself. And in that moment, something broke. And something healed. Because for the first time, Emily didn't stay in the room. She went outside. Outside wasn't instantly easy. It was quiet. Sometimes it was lonely, but it was clean loneliness. The kind that doesn't demand you disappear. The kind that gives you space to build a home inside yourself. A home with warm quiet. Harmony, care, like that afternoon long ago. Croissants on a table, pear juice in a glass, and a mother's voice saying, so you'll have energy. And maybe this is the real lesson. You don't attract cold people because you're weak. You attract them because you were taught to call the cold home, but you're not condemned to live there. The moment you choose your body's peace, the moment you choose presence, consistency, and truth, you don't just change your relationships, you change the way you treat yourself. And that is the real way out of the room.